It's wonderful to be here with Liz Koch and with Kylie Stupka. Kylie is the president of Youth Entrepreneurs, and Liz envisioned Youth Entrepreneurs 27 years ago and has made it a reality. At the very core of the partnership between the Charles Koch Foundation and Catholic University is the deeply held belief that ordinary people are capable of extraordinary things when they're able to transform their lives. And we believe that the foundation for that transformation is education. As Pope John Paul II remarked in his own education, stating, "For many years, I myself was deeply enriched by the beneficial experience of university life, the ardent search for truth, and its unselfish transmission to our youth and to all those learning to think rigorously so as to act rightly and to serve humanity better." It's truly with this spirit that Koch is delighted to partner with Catholic University to do good together and serve humanity. So thank you for having us here to share more today. Today we're going to introduce a program to you called Youth Entrepreneurs. This is a program that inspires kids in the best possible way. It makes learning relevant, it instills the mindset of an entrepreneur, and it creates that win-win spirit in kids. This is a spirit that stays with them through the rest of their lives. But we want you to see and hear from these students directly. They're amazing. They love going to school, and we want you to see it for yourselves. So let's have a look at a Youth Entrepreneurs classroom in Detroit, Michigan.
The city of Detroit is facing a lot of difficult challenges. Deteriorating neighborhoods, poverty, there's crime. When it comes to graduation rates, 1 in 3 African Americans will not graduate, 1 in 4 Hispanics will not graduate. There is so much outside noise that our students have to deal with.
The greatest barrier that I've seen so many of my students have to overcome is that self-esteem barrier. They've seen so much failure and not enough success, and so they don't believe that they can be successful.
They have all the ability, just like any other student, to accomplish whatever they want to. It's a matter of finding a way to get that out of them. I found out about Youth Entrepreneurs from a former colleague about 2 years ago. Youth Entrepreneurs is an organization that helps students develop an entrepreneurial spirit. It's an elective course that teaches students business principles and life skills that are very vital to their success out in the real world.
Jason and I went to a teacher training in Wichita last summer, and it was so phenomenal. We have brought it back and implemented it in our classrooms nonstop ever since.
This is not your typical business class. It's much more engaging, much more open, much more moving, and the kids seem to just take on that and love it.
The fact that they're throwing paper airplanes and creating them, that they're understanding rapid prototyping and sunk costs and scarcity. It is when we're throwing tennis balls and buckets that they're understanding the law of diminishing marginal returns. We're all jumping up and down because we all understand the concepts now.
The curriculum is very easy to understand. It's simple to put into your classroom. The way it's implemented really transforms the students' lives and opens up so many doors and so many lanes of opportunity that they might not otherwise receive.
Before YE, I thought business was an impenetrable institution that nobody could get into.
It was just like a whole bunch of men in suits. They just wanted money. YE has just made it seem like I could have a seat at that table without being like that.
It's amazing to be able to say that we're 17, we are Black, and we're entrepreneurs. I'm Ariane.
I'm Akila.
I'm Charity Turnbow.
And I'm Leah Gross.
And we are
Color Creations. So Color Creations is an all-natural skincare line that the 4 of us created our junior year of high school.
Everything is natural, handmade. We're labeled organic or vegan.
Financially, it is profitable. It's been very lucrative so far.
YE is set apart from other classes just because It allows you to step out of that comfort zone. It gives you the hope to start a business, but it also gives you those core values that you can take into the real world.
After YE, I found my confidence in myself and the ability to make products such as this.
We all have worked very hard for the things that we wanted throughout high school, and then this is just another representation of our hard work. And just putting that forward in college and throughout the rest of our life is just very important.
99% of YE graduates go on to finish their high school diploma, and 1/3 of those students go on to actually start their own business. It shows kids that there's a way out, that they are not tied to what their family before them did.
Because they've stepped out of a comfort zone, they're able to break through some barriers that they may have had previously.
They have the ability and they can learn the knowledge to aspire to whatever goal they put in front of themselves.
There's always that one child that you may have just changed their life forever. And you definitely did that with us, so we appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, those young women are incredible. And this is all possible because of the vision that Liz had starting in 1991. So Liz, tell us a little bit about, give us some insight into why you do this. Why is this so important?
Well, first of all, you give me way too much credit. It wasn't my idea. It started with the National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship, which we became very interested in New York City. And so we started it in Wichita, Kansas, in one little school, but we picked the most diverse school we could find in Wichita, and trained teachers. It took us about a year or so to get it off the ground. And it wasn't that easy to get it started. It sounds like, wow, what a great program, everybody should want you, but the albatross around our neck from the very beginning was that we represent corporate America, and there was a stigma involved, and you couldn't combine corporate America and public school. But we finally found someone who wanted to take a chance, that believed that what we were doing was going to be beneficial to those that we most wanted to serve. And that was inner city schools with inner city kids with all the problems that come with that. So that's how we got it started, and we limped along for about 5 years. And then other schools became interested, and we started spreading through schools. But Charles is somebody who wants to measure everything. If you don't measure it, you don't know what you're doing. So difficult as it was, we realized that we had to really start over. We didn't like the curriculum. The books wasn't really getting us where we wanted to go. 6 months wasn't long enough to take a child in poverty and teach them and spark the enthusiasm in them that they wanted to be business people. So, we rocked and rolled along, and then after a while, I became friends with the superintendent of school, and that was big, believe me. So because of that commitment to winning over people who don't think like you do, for the common good of the students that we were most trying to serve, he allowed us in all the schools in Wichita, Kansas. We were in every single public high school. And that was the beginning. And then we started streamlining the class, and we started, tinkering around with how we could change it and make it more interactive, so that it became a thing that students wanted to do. If they didn't go to their English class or their history class, they came to their entrepreneurship club because they had fun, and it was experiential teaching. I'll let Callie tell you what we do day to day in the classes, but we inspired young people to not fear business, but to embrace business. and that every kid coming to school has some innate ability, something they can do that they could earn money and feel good about themselves and transform their lives into something that before entering Youth Entrepreneurs, they had no idea that they could possibly achieve.
You know, this sounds different than a typical economics program or business program. We see many of those types of programs in our schools. Can you speak to what makes Youth Entrepreneurs different? It's a unique offering.
Kylie,
You want me to go? So
I do.
So one of the things Liz didn't mention is that when we were able to tweak, we were able to leverage what Tim was talking about, market-based management. We were able to leverage Charles's brilliance, right? And so we were able to bring, his study, his ideas, boil it down into a high school curriculum and introduce to your future employees a way of thinking that has allowed for an entire empire to do so very, very well. So that's what makes us different. I think that our competitive advantage is that we are principled entrepreneurs, right? That our students in the classroom are not being lectured to on how it is you are act with integrity and responsibility. They're trading on a trading floor. You'll walk into a Youth Entrepreneurs classroom. You'll be paid to be there via fiat currency. You'll have an opportunity to earn more fiat currency or YE bucks by trading at a pit trading floor or building paper airplanes and test piloting them in the hallway. Or again, you opening a trading bag and understanding the value created from trade and exchange and markets and these types of things. And inevitably, when you are on that pit trading floor and you are trading for the commodity, this person cheats, right? And so I didn't have to get up and lecture about integrity. We got to play around too. And we got to watch how nobody wants to now trade with this person, right? So it's about the morality behind markets. It's about the conscious capitalism. It's about the things that people think are bad words in the education system coming to life and providing exactly what Liz mentioned, that relevance for their futures. When they're doing a pop-up market in schools, we talk about how 29% of our students are starting businesses. That's pretty amazing. But every one of them does a pop-up market in the first semester, so every one of them runs a business. So I'd like to say 100% of our students are starting businesses at least for a day. And when they've got to determine what their startup or what their break-even point is, guess what they've just done? They've solved for X. All of a sudden, algebra is relevant. Oh, here's why I've got to go to algebra class. So we're doing these things in schools that are different, they look different, they feel different. They're getting kids to their classrooms. They're letting students understand the contribution that they can make beyond the education system and beyond their classrooms, and that's what makes us different.
So tell us about your kids. Tell us, what makes an outstanding student in Youth Entrepreneurs? We want to hear some stories.
Okay, there's too many to tell. That's
Right.
not a fair question. But all right, so you saw a typical classroom, and to be honest with you, we picked the video on Detroit because they really are a fair representation of what the student that we've targeted, the kid that we most want in our classroom. We're in lots of schools. We're in public schools now, in charter schools, parochial schools, because we have, I think, a very good product, and the schools are now calling us. In the early days, I had to go door to door, beg to get into schools, but now we have the luxury of picking and choosing. And Charles and I are very supportive of and wanting to fund schools that are inner city schools. Now, having said that, we're overwhelmed with requests from schools that can well afford to do this on their own. And we do not fund those schools, they fund themselves. So that's the difference. That's where we started, but cream does rise to the top, and if you've got a good thing, other people want to be in on it too, and so we're extremely flattered. But you know, as we started this thing, we were in Wichita, Kansas, and it was in the state of Kansas only. But as the years went by and we started refining the program and getting it more to the way we want it, I guess I should mention what wasn't apparent in the video is that in the youth entrepreneurs classes, we have mentors who mentor our students. We also have classroom speakers who come in and speak on various subjects about starting businesses or their experience with businesses. And they compete at the end of the season, at the end of the school year, with business plans. They vote inside their class for who's the best in their particular class, and then they are then competing with other schools, and then we finally do a big, what would you say, competition at the end between all schools. And so they have an opportunity to earn venture capital money, college scholarships, and summer mentorship jobs, summer internships. So we offer a lot of things within the classroom that you don't often see in other programs that teach entrepreneurship. And so once that we achieved a certain amount of success that satisfied my husband, we were able to then, he said, I really think you've got a good thing, and I want to grow it, and I want to grow it fast. I said, well, all it takes is money. So he allowed us to come and present at our annual seminars. And so the network got to see and hear our story. And from the network, we received a lot of funding. Many of our participants said, I want this in Michigan. Well, I want this in Arizona. I want this in Utah. So boom, suddenly we're in 18 states. So we're at this moment struggling to get all of our teachers trained. Right. We do teacher training in the summertime. We're working hard at getting really good teachers in the classroom. And it's not a cookie cutter that one size fits all. All of our classrooms represent the culture that they're teaching in. So we give them all the training that we can give them, and then they take it back to their classroom, to their culture, and they streamline it, tailor it to the kids that are in their classrooms. So no two classes look exactly alike, but they're still getting the same market-based management kind of teaching and approach to business, ethical, principled entrepreneurship.
So it sounds like there's been a fair amount of trial and error and experimentation that's happened over time, and there's all these different elements of the Youth Entrepreneurs Program. Are there times that there have been experiments that you've tried that maybe didn't go the way that you planned and you were able to learn?
Oh, maybe 150. Yes, there are always, and we've tried all kinds of different things. And our original model doesn't even resemble what we're doing now, other than the fact that we're teaching entrepreneurship, because we had to change curriculum, we had to change the length of time the classes were offered, and then we kept adding things. We added the mentoring, and we added the money for scholarships and for venture capital, and the Ambassadors Club, so that when our students leave our class, they never truly leave us if they don't want to, because they're invited back to every extracurricular thing we do. We like to have our students actually run a lot of our exercises and things that we do. Our graduate students work with our current students, So there's a lot of interaction, and it's the ambassadors program is really what runs the entry-level students, and they help out with all of our extracurricular activities. So they stay involved. We don't like to let go of our kids because, first of all, we need them for tracking. We need to know how many of them went on to college, what they've done with their lives, and many of our students don't start their own businesses, but they make much better employees because they understand the business model. They aren't just workers without being invested in what they're doing.
So, Kylie, what have you learned and how have you improved since you've been leading at Youth Entrepreneurs?
So, to Tim's point, I love Liz. I work very closely with Liz. I'm comfortable with Liz, but I'm intimidated as hell by her husband, right? So
we all are. I am too.
So when he calls you into his office, sits you across the table, and says, my umbrella organization of kind of partners that want to help change the trajectory of the world really has gotten involved and wants to grow K-12 education, and the one thing that's out there doing great work is you. Youth Entrepreneurs is doing great work. You've got to grow. You've got to grow. You've got to take this thing. It's got to be national. We're not just in Kansas anymore. And whew, I mean, that's a little bit of a big call to action, right? And you know that that with Charles Koch, it has to make a difference, and there has to be results. So we've tried a lot of things, right? You can't scale what we were doing in Wichita, Kansas. It was very human capital intensive. It was, we were putting a lot of resources into classrooms. We still do put a lot of resources into classrooms, but the one thing we knew we had to do was evolve and evolve quickly. So leveraging technology has allowed for us to reduce some of that human capital element. In fact, I'll be meeting next week with Amazon. Amazon's very interested in helping us in that next level of technology in the education space. They want to put Alexas, I'm going to come up with a really cool other name for that, JoJo's, Alexis, somebody's in the classroom that when the teacher needs the resources that we used to send a person in there for, we're going to look to JoJo. And JoJo's going to bring up a screen, and JoJo's going to help us teach that class, right? Our teachers know, they're very humble. They've accepted that humility factor, that market-based management principle of humility. They know they can't be everything to everybody. That's the first step, but they know that they can leverage resources like the folks in this room to help ensure that the grads that they're working with that are coming to work for you are thinking like entrepreneurs, are thinking like Arthur was talking about, are taking risks. Creative, intelligent risk-taking, that's what we're teaching in this classroom. So how can you do that at the level and at the scale of a Charles Koch? You have to leverage technology, and you have to be ahead of the curveball. I foresee a Youth Entrepreneurs classroom setting the pace for how it is we can digitize technology and leverage groups and cohorts of students through experiential learning in markets for the future. So we're really excited about that, but we're also excited about scaling through partnerships, and this is something that I felt like the room might be really excited to hear about, and that is that Catholic Universities of America, through their curriculum projects with their high school Catholic students, has vetted and just spent a lot of time working, has come to our trainings, has been very much involved with the Youth Entrepreneurs curriculum. And what they've found is that principled entrepreneurship, obviously we're sitting in the principled entrepreneurship school, is very closely aligned with the principles of the Catholic values that are taught in those schools, and this is the perfect curriculum to introduce to all of the Catholic high schools across the nation. So there's another way to scale, right? Amazing partners. So we've got a lot of really exciting things going forward, but the first two technology tries were fails, right? So talking about those fails, I mean, we know how to partner and who to partner with now because we've failed twice. Not failed, I mean, we're using that stuff. It's just not where it needs to be. It's not that technology solution. So we think of ourselves as, you might think we're a nonprofit and write a check to us and invest in us, please do. I'm welcoming any of that. But we think of ourselves as a high-tech startup. We have to. We have to in order to change the trajectory of education and what's happening in the education system. We have to show what can happen within any system because the reform of the entire system is a far-fetched idea that's going to happen, but not today, not tomorrow. And we have students that need us today and tomorrow. So we're doing what we can today.
So Kylie, you're identifying this challenge to grow and scale to reach more kids, right? Serious question. Youth Entrepreneurs is closely associated with Koch. Does that help you? Does that hurt you?
We like the money.
Yeah, that's the good part. It's a double-edged sword. I had this all thought out, and now it eludes me, but because of the seminar network and because of Koch's involvement, it has allowed us to grow so rapidly. But, you know, as you as Catholics are now seeing what the media can do to you, it's horrific. They can decide who you are, they can paint a picture, and that it's, you know, accepted by most people because they don't understand the agenda that's going on out there. And my heart bleeds for you. I know you'll get through it just as we are. And I've just become very tough, and I ignore all that I can possibly ignore, and we're committed, and we're gonna do what we do. And the criminal justice reform is one of our loves, and education. For the 50 years I have been with my husband, education has always been first on his list. The importance of education, the importance of making sure that everybody has the opportunity to learn.
So I'll just piggyback on that and tack on that a little bit. I don't know the number of potential partnerships that have not come to fruition because of the kind of behind the scenes thought that the evil Koch brothers are trying to brainwash our kids, right? But the ones that have the courage to actually bring that up to us, I embrace that challenge. I look forward to that challenge because you know how fun it is to sit across the table from somebody that has a mental model, a completely flawed mental model about a set of people, about their beliefs and ideas. And you put across the table from them the 8 foundational values that Youth Entrepreneurs is built on, and you tell them that those values, that principled entrepreneurship is based on market-based management and based upon the philosophies of Liz and Charles Koch and how they run not only their businesses or their philanthropies, but their lives. And if you can be the person in the room that completely negates the negativity and shows the amazing things that are happening and maybe makes a blip on that radar to change that mindset and that thought, just because you're doing great things for students, it's pretty awesome. So yes, they occur all the time, but I love the challenge because it's an opportunity to talk about the great things that are happening from the Kochs.
So that doesn't sound like brainwashing kids to me. So tell us the truth. Is there some master plan to use Youth Entrepreneurs to change the world? What are the ulterior motives here?
Yes, there is a master plan. It's that everyone has an opportunity to succeed and to fulfill their nature as a human being. And I can... Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. With that, I know that we are the only thing standing between this room and lunch. I've got one final question. As you're growing this organization, as you're reaching more kids, who do you want to work with to make it better? If you could work with anyone, who would it be?
As Charles says, we'll work with anyone to do good. We'll work with anybody who's interested in training educators to reach students, to be able to develop those innate abilities, recognize them, develop them, and then put them to work. We work with businesses. We work with all of you. Liz mentioned that there are mentors in our classroom. We have a grand vision of bringing the 10% of our youth are entrepreneur students that are really ready to change the trajectory of where they came from. The James Harrises, whose dad was in prison and whose mom was trying really hard on 3 jobs to take care of him, who was found in school peddling drugs. We saw that he was able to take risks. How can we change his life? Well, we did. We changed his trajectory. We showed him how to take those risks in a positive fashion. We showed him how it is he can contribute to society. And so now he's working for Usher. I don't know if anybody knows who Usher is. Usher, Camp New Look, Atlanta, Georgia. He's working for Usher because he was passionate about music, and we knew Usher's mom stole from him. Usher's mom was his agent, so he is very passionate about teaching students the business side of music. What a perfect marriage. So you've got James, who's talking about market-based principles at Camp New Look in Georgia, and Usher. That's creating an army of people that are understanding how it is that the morality of markets is going to change the trajectory of your life. And that being able to, again, like Arthur was saying, take those risks, calculated, intelligent risks, say yes. Our students are saying yes. Jaron Hemphill from Arizona, he wanted to go into his market day and sell cookies because he was not confident about his artwork. Jaron Hemphill's artwork is fantabulous. Fantabulous, that's a fun word, right? It's fantastic. Right? So he now has showcased his artwork at Comic-Con. He was able to go to Comic-Con, and he will tell us it was because of youth entrepreneurs. We have changed his life. So we've partnered with Comic-Con. We've partnered with Usher. We will partner with anybody. We will partner with you. We intend to partner with you. So with that, we're here, we're excited, we're growing, we're going to make things happen, and we want to be on the forefront, and we're excited for you having us here today.
Well, yes, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to share the exciting work that Youth Entrepreneurs is doing.